Hey everyone, good morning, good evening, welcome to my channel. I'm Nisha and I'm the South Asian Mystic and I hope you're having a fabulous day. So today's video is something really special because in today's video I talk about spells. I discuss what spells are, what magic is, what energy manipulation is, why you would need to cast spells, what benefits spell casting can give you, why are people afraid of spells and magic in general, and some of the myths that people seem to have about spell work and magic that you need to dispel from your mind today. Of course, everything that I'm going to be telling you in this video is not the be all end all permanent information, the absolute truth. This is all based on my personal experience, my studies, my magical studies, my studies of religion and spirituality, and just my general experience in life. If you ask another practitioner, they might give you a completely different answer. So please do bear in mind that this video is completely from my perspective and it is just one of the many perspectives out there. Another thing to bear in mind is that this video is going to be just a short introduction into spells. While I cover so many different topics under this one video, I'm just going to be giving you the surface information so that you can get acquainted with the idea of spell casting and magic without going too deep into it in a way that it will overwhelm you. So let's just take it bit by bit, and then in the subsequent videos that I will be producing for this playlist, which is spell casting, you will get to learn more about spells and how to cast spells with tips, tricks, how to use your own religious background, your cultural background, your folk tales and myths to work with spells and to create your own spells. So we'll look into all of that later in another video, in another series of videos on in the future. But for now, let's just take everything bit by bit so that you can get acquainted with the idea of spell casting. So first things first, what is a spell? So a spell is a formulaic energetic manipulation. Essentially, a spell includes multiple facets, which are desire, that is your desire for something, intention, your intention towards how you want to achieve it, energy, your personal energy and the energy that's there in the universe, manipulation, that is energetic manipulation. This is what I mean. This is not a psychological manipulation or a physical manipulation. This is energetic manipulation. That is, how do you deal with your energy and the universe's energy so that they come together holistically so that your dreams come true, your desires are achievable. And finally, the willingness to accept the generosity or the blessings from the universe. So essentially, like I said, there are 5 elements in a spell. It is your desire, your intention, your energy and the universe's energy, manipulation of energy, and 5 is willingness to receive what comes from the universe. So this is how I break down spells. Now let's just go deep into each of these a little bit. So the first component of spells, according to me, is desire. All of us desire something in life. It could be a better grade in our examination, a promotion at work, a better boyfriend or girlfriend or partner, a better spouse, a better home, more travel opportunities, more books to read, political power, getting closer to God, and so on and so forth. So each of us has a specific desire, and our desires change and evolve as we grow old and as we age. So the first component of spell is desire. Now, as with anything, when you want something, you are more inclined to go work for it, you're more inclined to go in search of it, and so therefore desire is the first seed that must be present for you to cast a spell. Now, the second component that I had is, or that I usually use, is intention. Now, you have the desire, but what do you intend to do about it? Now, a lot of times we might feel afraid to go after what we really want, and that will hold us back, right? That will keep us back from what we want. Now, the intention during those situations is to just stay quiet, stay in our comfort zone and not to do anything about it. But what if you are willing to take a step closer towards your goal? What if you're willing to go out there, put yourself out there, put your energy out there, let the universe know that this is what you want. So that is intention. And with spell casting in particular, your intention is to let the universe know, let your deities know, that is your gods, if you believe in gods, if you are a religious person, or even if you are a spiritual person, if you believe in God, letting your gods know that this is what you want, letting your ancestral spirits know this is what you want, and letting the universe in general know that this is what you want and that you're willing to work for it. So that is the intention. So once you have desire, you need to have intention to move ahead and get what you want. So those two are the first elements of a spell. The third element is energy, both your personal energy and the energy of the universe. Now, the reason I use the word energy is because the entire universe and all the creatures living in it, even the non-living, non-sentient creatures, are made of energy. And again, this comes from a very scientific perspective. Now, if you look at the formation of the universe, of the Big Bang, the Big Bang was formed through an energetic process. Now, I'm not going to go into the science of it all because I am not an expert in physics and the other scientific disciplines, but it is an energetic process through which the Big Bang happened, and through the Big Bang, the formation of the stars, galaxies, nebulae, and then furthermore of planets, of asteroids, and so on. And then as the overheated planets started cooling down, the planet had this chemical and biological environment that was conducive for the growth of life, and life started in the form of molecular life and evolved slowly to form other forms of other species, and ultimately resulted in us human beings. So if you were to chart back evolutionarily in terms of how the universe came into existence and how humans came into existence, and whatever we do, what our actions, our thoughts, our emotions, everything finally stems back to that energetic occurrence that resulted in the Big Bang. So ultimately, we are all energy, we encompass energy. So we ourselves are energy, the universe is filled with energy, and because of this, because of the various energies that are in play here, each of us has an energetic blueprint. I'm sure you've heard of something called an aura. An aura is basically an energetic blueprint that encompasses your personality and your abilities and how you interact with the environment. So each of us has an aura, each of us has an energetic blueprint, and when our energy interacts with someone else's energy or some other thing's energy, that's where the magic of energetic manipulation happens. So you have energy, and which is the third component of a spell. Like I said, after desire and intention, you need to have energy. And it is with this energy, with your personal energy and the energy of the universe, that you can work magic and that you can cast spells. Now, the fourth component is energetic manipulation. So like I mentioned, we have an energetic blueprint, and our energetic blueprint works with the blueprint of somebody else's or some other entities or another non-living thing, or you could say, or even the general energy of the universe that is there. And when these energetic blueprints or these energies work on a unconscious level, that is, they just normally interact with each other, in those situations, this is whatever outcome happens is something unconscious. You have not consciously manifested that thing. But if you want to consciously get something, if you want to consciously achieve a goal, then conscious energetic manipulation must happen, wherein you need to direct your energy, you need to direct your thoughts, and you need to direct your feelings towards the item or the person that you want, or the solution that you want. And because you consciously direct your energy towards that, consciously direct your thoughts towards that, your feelings towards that, your intentions and desires towards that, you are consciously and deliberately channeling your energy in a particular way, in a particular direction. And because of this particular channeling, you are also withholding your energetic flow in another direction. You're withholding your energy and your intentions from just spreading all over the place. and you are actually bringing it and honing it in a channelized way towards a specific thing. So this is what I call energetic manipulation. Now, once again, like I mentioned, energetic manipulation has so much more complexity to it, but I'm trying to keep this very simple for you to understand. So essentially, when you have your energy and you channel it in a particular way and you withhold energy from other areas so that your complete energy and intention and desires and goodwill go towards a specific outcome that you want, that's when the manipulation of energy happens. Now, finally, we come to the fifth element of spells, which is the willingness to receive what the universe gives. Now, with this sort of energetic exchange that's happening, a lot of times it's not just your personal energy that affects the outcome, but also the energy of other people involved and of the rest of the universe involved as well. So, when this conscious energetic manipulation is happening, when this conscious energy exchange is happening, the other party, the other side also exchanges energy, also manipulates energy, and a certain outcome is formed. Now, a spell by itself can give you absolutely exactly what you need, or it might give you something that you need but in a different way, and which is why I have pegged the fifth element of a spell as the willingness to receive from the universe. Because sometimes our spells may not work exactly, point by point like how we wanted it, but it does give you what you need ultimately to succeed. It does give you what you want, but in a slightly different way. Now, other practitioners may disagree, saying that they want a specific outcome and that's why they're casting their spells. And that's perfectly fine. That is something I completely respect. But for me, I also believe in getting what the universe gives as well. Because you are doing an energetic exchange, you're consciously exchanging your energy, consciously manipulating your energy with that of the other energies in the universe that is there. You will to an extent get what you want, but also because free will is a very important part in anything in life. You are also interacting with the free wills of other people and other entities, and therefore what the universe gives you may not be exactly point by point what you have asked for, but it will definitely be in line with what you want. So a spell is ultimately a method to get what you want by instituting or initiating an energetic exchange with the rest of the universe, a very conscious energetic exchange and conscious energetic manipulation to get what you want, and sending out your intentions to achieve your goal. So this is what a spell is. Now, how does a spell actually work? Now, once again, the dynamics and mechanics of a spell are very complicated, but essentially it works on the principle of magic. Now, magic is anything or any process that cannot be explained cut and dry or in a clear-cut way through scientific laws and principles. But of course, this does not mean that science does not exist in magic. A lot of times there's this very popular misconception that science and spirituality are two ends of the spectrum, or they're completely opposites, but that's not true. Science and spirituality are actually a combined force that complement each other. In fact, there's a very very powerful and very common phrase in the spiritual community that the science of today was the magic of yesterday, and the magic of today is the science of tomorrow. So essentially, magic is something that occurs, a phenomenon where you manifest something where you can't give a very clear-cut explanation through scientific laws and through scientific principles of why it happened or how it happened. But it did happen nonetheless. You may find the explanation for why this spell worked maybe a few years down the line, but at the moment there is no scientific law or principle to very objectively explain why your spell worked, and that is what magic is. Now, before we go ahead into more about spellcasting, let's just explore why spells are so reviled or hated, and why people who practice spellcasting and magic are considered to be evil, or something that is, this is something scary to be involved in. Because, and I'm especially speaking to South Asian folks through this video, because as a South Asian person myself, I know what you're going through. If you are someone who's interested in magic, if you're interested in getting into spellcasting, you may be worried about what your family is going to say. And you may also have family members who are actively telling you to not get involved in this, in this discipline, in this experience, because of, and they're afraid for you. I completely get it, because when I started my practicing magic, when I started spellcasting, my parents were really worried for me too. I remember my mother telling me that, don't do this, because especially in South Asia, there is a lot of fear and hatred for people who say that they practice magic. There have been a lot of witch hunts, for example. If you have followed the news, even today there are a lot of witch hunts in India. And my parents were really worried for my safety. And of course, fear makes people angry also, right? So they were really angry of why I was, practicing magic, why I was practicing spells. Until one day I sat them down, I showed them my books on magic, I explained to them how magic works, and and this is something very important that South Asian families and South Asian practitioners should remember, that to a large extent, spells and magic are very similar to prayers. The prayers that you do in temple, especially if you're, for example, if you're a Hindu, when you are doing prayers to specific deities, all of them are in a way spells. And just like prayers, wherein you send out your energy out into the universe and wish for the best and hope that your wish comes true, but you don't have any negative attitude towards other people. All you want is goodness for you, goodness for your loved ones, but you're not actively hurting anyone. That's a prayer, right? Spell casting and magic are exactly like that. You don't, at least the way I practice it. For me personally, my spell casting and my magic is to help support the holistic development, the health, well-being, welfare and prosperity of my loved ones and myself. That's the way I practice my magic. That's the way I cast spells. So my spells are a lot like prayers. And because I am a Hindu, I source a lot of my spells from Hindu philosophical books, Hindu religious texts, like for example the Atharva Veda, which is actually, for those of you who did not know this, the Atharva Veda is Hinduism's oldest books of spells and rituals that were created by priests and other practitioners of Hinduism in ancient times, and that has been passed down through generations. So my spells are sourced from Hinduism itself, and therefore they're very holistic towards my culture. And the way I practice spells is, like I said, for the well-being of my loved ones and of myself and the general well-being of the universe. And so this is what spell casting and magic stands for me. Now, of course, there are different practitioners for whom spell casting may be different things, and that's perfectly, okay, it's perfectly fine. But essentially, at its core, spell casting and magic is not evil. But then why are people so afraid of magic and spells? And to answer this question, there's only one answer, which is people are afraid of things that they do not understand. For example, if you don't know something and this something is completely new to you, other people have been telling that it's evil, it's bad, it's something that you can't trust, obviously you're going to be believing them, right? And this ignorance and this of the fear of the unknown is what causes fear of spellcasting and magic. Another reason why spellcasting and magic, especially in the South Asian specific landscape, that people are always hesitant to cast spells or create magic, is because of the threat of being branded a witch. According to my studies, the word witch refers to people who were actually midwives. They were doulas, that is death doulas. They helped people prepare for their death. They were midwives who helped women give birth. They were healers. They were healers who would, in their tribes, know the wisdom of plant medicine and animal medicine, and they would go out and help people who had met with an accident or who had fallen ill due to a disease, and they would help people. So witches were wise folks. They were the carriers of ancient knowledge that came from their ancestors, and they were specialists in natural healing and natural living techniques. So that was what a witch actually was. Unfortunately, over time, because of modernity and industrialization, people started having this sort of dissonance or divide between followers of the ancient ways versus followers of the modern ways or the modern way of life. In the South Asian specific context, We also have to worry about how like I said, witch hunts are a very real threat even today. And hundreds of women, especially in India, in places like Jharkhand and Odisha, hundreds of women are, accused of being witches every year. They are ostracized from their communities. Some of them are raped or lynched, and some of them are even murdered. And some of the common reasons why this happens is not because they were actually practitioners of witchcraft, but because of patriarchal jealousy and greed. You may have heard of this person that I'm going to be talking about now, because she's been in the news for quite some time. Chutni Mahato. So you may have heard of her. So Chutni Mahato is a Padma Shri winner. Padma Shri, for those of you who don't know, is the fourth highest award in India, recognizing the contribution that civilians have made for the betterment of the country. Now, Chutni Mahato is a woman from Jharkhand. She is in her 60s. And when she was 30 years old, she was accused of being a witch, and the local villagers tried to rape her and kill her on the accusation that she was a witch. And she wasn't. And because of this harrowing traumatic experience, Chutni decided to fight against the false accusations of witchcraft that women in India faced, especially women in her local area. Now, and through her fight, she has saved over 125 women from being murdered in states like Odisha and Jharkhand, and has given them economic liberation and independence through training and occupation. And through her work, what she's found is that most of the time women are branded as witches because of two reasons. One is that often these women have inheritances that are left by their parents, and the men in their lives want access to this inheritance, and one easy way to do so is to brand that woman a witch, so that she's ostracized from society, so that she's cut off from her finances, and then the closest male member gets these finances. So that's one of the reasons that the woman is branded a witch. The second reason the woman might be branded a witch is if she is disabled, or in old or unmarried, or in any other way dependent on a male member of the family. And the one easy way to once again get rid of the woman from their lives, so that they don't have to bear the burden of taking care of this woman, is to brand her a witch. So these are two reasons why women are branded witches. And like I said, Chutni Mahato has transformed the Indian landscape by fighting for the rights of these women, marginalized women, uneducated, very poor women who are wrongfully accused of being witches, of being evil, of being demons, and has protected them and has helped them. Now, coming back to our discussion on spellcasting. Now, because of these occurrences in South Asia, which are very common, people are very afraid to practice magic and practice spellcasting. And that's exactly what I want to address right now, that spellcasting and magic is not evil. It can be used for the most holistic, empowering things, to empower yourself, to protect your loved ones, and to help the universe as a whole. Because, like I said, to me, in my practice, my spells, my rituals are very similar to what prayers are in the religious ceremonies. So far, we've understood one thing about spells, and it's that it is not evil, and it's completely okay to work magic and to work spells. But why would you want to work spells in the first place? Now, one of the main reasons, or the only reason that for a lot of us practitioners, why spellcasting is an option, is that spellcasting gives us an edge. That is, it gets us one step closer towards achieving our goal. Spells and energy manipulation sort of put in a good word for you out in the universe. So that's why you should cast spells, to give you that energetic push that you need to achieve your goals. Another reason why you might want to cast spells, specifically if you are a Hindu like me, is that spells are a part of our heritage. Now, if you've read the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, or any of the Puranas or the Vedas, a lot of the philosophical information over there, a lot of the occurrences that happen are because of magic, because of spells. Let's take the Mahabharata, for example. So, Kunti and Madri have children through gods. Right? Pandu is not their biological father. How do these women invoke the gods? Through an invocation spell. Sages in the Mahabharata and the Ramayana bless people, right? They bless people of by giving them certain boons. They give them additional benefits. And how do these blessings work? Through spells. Draupadi is given the boon to become a virgin during every year when she goes to a new husband. Not exactly a very empowering boon, might I add, and certainly reeks of a lot of patriarchal sensibilities, but it's a spell nonetheless. So these are the spells that are mentioned in in these ancient texts, right? The fact is, spells and magic are a very real part of Hindu philosophy, Hindu religion, and Hindu culture. And so, when you come from a culture that is so magically inclined, that is so, powerfully magically charged, it kind of makes sense to you do simple spells, for example, for your health, for your house blessing, for a career, for a good marriage, right? For the well-being of your children and so on. So these small spells can really help empower your life and make your life really better. So the Hinduism example that I gave is just for this religion, but there are so many religions out here, so many traditions that people practice around the world, and every religion and every tradition has its own folk tales of spells and magic. So irrespective of what religion you belong to, that doesn't matter. Go ahead, start reading your folk books, start reading your philosophical books, and trust me, you will find a spell or two hidden in there. So now that we know why it's okay to cast spells, or why you should, or anyone for that matter, should open up their minds to learn more about magic and spell casting, at least in relation to their culture, let's consider some of the common myths that are there about spells. Now, these myths and misconceptions have been doing the rounds of the spiritual community for a very long time, and it's possible that you may have had these questions in your mind too. So I'm going to address just a couple of the myths and misconceptions that are there about spells, and I'm going to set the record straight. Let's get started. The first myth and misconception about spells is that spells can be done only by people with magic powers. I'm afraid that is false. So here's the thing, there's no such thing as magic powers, especially in the sense that you may be thinking of television, on TV, how you see a Superman having the magical ability to fly, or the Invisible Man having the ability to become invisible, or the Flash having the ability to really run fast. I'm really afraid to say, or rather sorry to say, that there are no such things as magic powers in those sense. Magic is a state of mind. Magic is the desire to consciously have an energetic exchange that results in a particular manifestation. So magic is a learned thing. Magic is a practiced thing. Just like, for example, you learn how to ride a cycle. Magic you learn and you practice and you become better at it. The more you cast spells, the more you do these rituals, the more you send out your energy for a conscious energy exchange with the rest of the universe. That is when real magic happens. But there is no such thing as magic powers like how you see on television, and anyone can cast spells. So let no one tell you that because you don't come from this particular bloodline, or you aren't destined to be a magical practitioner, and so on and so forth. Let no one tell you that. At the end of the day, if you want to practice spells, if you want to practice magic for your personal well-being, for the well-being of your family, for the well-being of the rest of the world, you can definitely do so. And all you need to do is study and practice. Myth number 2, spells are evil and people who cast them are evil. Again, this is false. Spells are not evil. Like I said, my personal practice, spells are a lot like prayers. I source a lot of my spells from my Hindu traditions and my Hindu philosophy, Hindu religious texts. In fact, if you can see, this entire bookshelf over here is of the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, and some of the Puranas and the Harivansha. I've also got, I've ordered on the way the Vedas, the Rig Veda, Samaveda, Yajurveda, and Atharva Veda, which are going to come to me soon in a couple of days, and I'll do a video about that as well. So I source a lot of my magical practice from my Hindu roots. And similarly, I know a lot of magical practitioners who source practices from their own religious roots. Even those people who do not believe in a deity, who are atheists, who are non-denominational, they are not evil people, okay? They are not evil people. The reason, like I said, that the whole concept of witches are evil or magical practitioners are evil has come into society because people are do not understand what magic is and therefore are afraid of it, plus coupled with the cis-het male normative, the narrative that cis-het people give out into the universe, which is designed, especially if it's a male cis-het narrative, which is often designed to oppress and marginalize communities. These narratives are what make spell casting and people who cast spells seem evil. And I know a lot of people, both denominational and non-denominational practitioners, that is people who follow a religion and people who are atheists, both of whom work such amazing healing and helpful magic for the rest of the world. They do community spells that are designed to help marginalized people such as the LGBTQIA people, people with disabilities, persecuted communities such as the Romani, Dalit communities, and so on. And so they cast spells, both denominational and non-denominational, that is atheist witches or practitioners who cast spells that are designed to help and uplift and empower the rest of the world. And people who do this aren't evil. Don't you think so? Myth misconception 3: spells are difficult and require a lot of ingredients. Again, that's not really true. I mean, that's partially true, but also partially false. And again, it all depends on the kind of spells you are casting. Now, you may want to do an over-the-top spell. You might want to do a whole ceremony of it and make it into a whole, thing, right? So you might bring in like 20, 30 different ingredients. You might do the spell over 2-3 hours or maybe 2-3 weeks as well. And in those cases, yes, the spell does require a lot of ingredients and a lot of time. But there are spells that take just 1 second. Now, for example, how many of you get birthday cakes during your birthdays? How many of you put candles on your birthday cakes? And how many of you blow out your candles while making a wish? If you answered yes or I do to all these questions, you just practice magic. You just cast a spell. So blowing out a candle while making a wish is one of the simplest forms of fire magic. The fire, the flame, is your energy and your intention. It is focused, your energy and intention is focused in the flame. And when you make your wish and blow out the flame, your energy and your wish and intention disperse out into the universe. That's when the energy is sent out, and the energy manipulation and energy exchange that we were talking about happens. And ultimately you receive something in return. That's your spell. So spells can be as complicated as you want. Spells can be as simple as you want to. Now, an example of a complicated spell I'm going to give you is, for example, a Griha Pravesham. Now, Hindus will be familiar with this. A Griha Pravesham is basically a housewarming ceremony, a housewarming and house blessing ceremony. Now, a lot of the chanting, mantras and invocations and evocations that are done during this housewarming or Griha Pravesham is actually spell. And that spell is a ceremonial spell that takes a lot of ingredients and a lot of time to do. And so in those cases, like I said, it takes a lot of time and effort. But a simple fire magic spell like the one that you are most likely doing on your birthday hardly takes a second to do. The next myth and misconception, which I think is number 4, is spells result in instantaneous action, result, or manifestation. Again, this is not always true. Spells can be instantaneous in the results that they give, but again, that depends on the kind of wish that you've made, the kind of spell that you've cast, the kind of magic and energy that you've directed, and what is receiving that energy and how it is responding to you. For me personally, for example, I've had success in spells where the spell worked within 1 week, and I've had spells that took almost half a year to manifest, 6 whole months. There will be time when you feel like, oh man, this spell has failed, it's not giving any result, but the spell will take its own time to work. Again, so it depends on what you are doing and how you're casting the spell and what you want and what kind of energy you're giving out and what energy you receive. So the spells can be instantaneous in some situations, but based on my experience, most of the time it does take a while. It could take a few days to a few weeks to even a few months. You just have to wait it out and be patient. And in the event the spell has failed, you will know if it has failed. But I won't cover about that in this video. I'll talk to you about this in a subsequent video later. The next misconception and myth that is there about spells is that once you cast a spell, you don't really need to do anything. You can sit back, relax, and enjoy the benefits as they come to you. Big no. So spellcasting is not like waving a magic wand, for example, what you've probably seen in Harry Potter or any other magic shows on TV. Like I mentioned, there is no such thing as magic powers. Spells aren't magic powers in the sense of what you see in television. Spells are energetic exchanges. Spells are a mindset shift. And along with this energetic exchange and mindset shift, you do need to put in physical work. So it's like, for example, right? God helps those who helps themselves. That's a saying that's there in many cultures. That is, you need to help yourself. You need to put in the work, and then God or your ancestors or any other magic out there comes in and does it. So it's best to nudge you along. So when you cast a spell, you are essentially also working on a mindset shift. So for example, let's say you do a spell jar to to get more money, right? So when you look at that spell jar, you're automatically reminded that the objective of the spell jar is to get more money. And on a subconscious level, you'll also register that you need to save money in order to get more money. And so you might subconsciously start to save money, reduce your spendings, so that in that way you are still having an extra additional corpus present with you. Now, along with this physical work that you're putting in, the energy that you sent out into the universe also works and brings in additional opportunities. You might find that you've suddenly been given a lot of freelance jobs, or that you might find that you've been given a promotion. So these are the more obvious ways of how your spell would work. There is no substitute for hard work, and your spell should be a complementary measure and a supplementary measure to the actual hard work that you're putting in. The final myth and misconception, which is myth number 6, is that spells can hurt people. Now again, this is partly true, partly false, and it depends on the intention of the person who's casting a spell. Now I personally have never cast a spell to hurt someone. I'm not casting any judgment on people who may use spell work for other reasons. That's perfectly okay. Sometimes you need to cast spells to protect yourselves and your family and your loved ones from evil people who are out there, like rapists and murderers and pickpockets and things like that. But spells by themselves are not evil. The intention with which you cast a spell is what makes the difference at the end of the day. Now, the example that I give for this is that, for example, a lot of people say that spells are curses. Well, curses are a type of magical working, but you don't need to be a magical practitioner to cast a curse. For example, let's say you're driving or riding to work and someone cuts you in the middle on the road, right? And you put your brake very hard and you suddenly come to a stop. Your heart is pounding. You just avoided colliding, from colliding against them, and you just stopped short of having an accident, right? Touch wood. You get really pissed and you say, I hope this person gets caught in the next traffic signal. And that person is caught in the next traffic signal. That's a curse. That's a spell with an evil intention, or I wouldn't say evil, but a darker intention. So now for those of you who are saying that, hey, that's not a spell, that's not a curse, I didn't really mean this, I just said it in anger. But then again, you have to remember that a lot of the things that we utter in anger often come true on an energetic level, because anger is one of the most powerful energetic sources for spells. If you look, like I said, let's go back to the example that I gave of looking through your philosophical and religious and mythological texts. If you study, and I'm giving the example of Hindu texts because I'm a Hindu and I'm most familiar with that, but please feel free to look through your cultural examples as well. A lot of the curses and spells that have been done in the Ramayana and Mahabharata are from sages who are really angry. Like for example, how Indra is cursed by Ahalya's husband, and he has eyes all over his body, and in regional retellings, it's vulvas all over his body. A lot of these spells stem from anger. So you don't really need to be casting a curse on someone to hurt them. Spells are all about intention. So spells aren't necessarily evil, or they don't necessarily hurt people. It is your intention that makes all the difference in the world. So yeah, spells don't hurt people unless you want to hurt people. So that's a conscious choice you will need to make. So now that we've understood a couple of the myths and misconceptions of spellcasting and what the reality is, let's just look at how spells can help you. Now, before I tell you how spells can help you, I'll just talk a little bit about myself, about how spells help me. Now, before I started practicing magic and casting spells, I was this really shy, introverted person. Now, I had a lot of body image issues. I really hated myself because of the way I looked. And there were times when really that hate was all consuming. It would prevent me from going out and seizing opportunities that otherwise I would have, excelled at. And it kept me from really becoming the best version of myself. It kept me from making new friends. It kept me from meeting new people. It kept me from pursuing goals that I really wanted, but I was so afraid to have because I thought I was a failure. But ever since I started practicing magic, ever since I started casting spells, I had both a mindset shift, that is, I became more positive and optimistic, and I had an energetic shift, that is, I was willing to receive energy and give energy back into the universe, which allowed me to manifest what I wanted. So personally, I have found the spellcasting and magic to be really empowering and really good in terms of trying to achieve what I want. Now, similarly, I believe that spells and magic can help you too. Now, here are just a couple of ways that spells and magic can help you. First off, spells and magic can empower you to go after what you want. You will no longer be afraid because you will have a mindset shift and an energetic shift, and therefore it will empower you to go after your desires and your goals courageously. Secondly, it will give you more agency and control over your life. Now, a lot of times what happens is, like I said, that the entire society as a whole, not just South Asian society, but the entire global society is controlled by a patriarchal cis-het narrative. And for a lot of other communities, we are either marginalized or oppressed, and we aren't given agency over our own lives and over our own futures and fate. Magic and spells can, like I said, can nudge you along in the right direction and clear your pathway of those negative influences that can stop you from achieving what you want. And in that way, they can help you get closer to what you want and get access to opportunities which otherwise might be denied to you. The third way that magic and spells can help you is that they make your day-to-day life more magical. Now, everyday life can just sometimes just be so boring, right? Just get up, go to work, come back home, do the same old things, watch the same old show, go back to sleep, go back to work. It's the same repetitive cycle. But just imagine if you have a full moon ritual that you want to do, or a new moon ritual, or a spell that you want to cast, let's say for getting a new car, or getting a loan with good terms for your new home. They definitely make your life more magical and interesting and exciting, doesn't it? It gives you some reason to hope for a better tomorrow. And this kind of positivity and enthusiasm and energy that is infused in your life as a result of being able to cast spells and work magic is something that is very rarely found in other places or through other experiences. So it makes your day-to-day life very magical. Finally, the last way that I wouldn't say last way, but one of the ways that spells and magic help you is that it gives you the outlet and the freedom to share your innermost feelings, desires, goals, and needs with a non-judgmental entity, which is the universe. So there might be something that you want which you don't feel confident enough to share with other people in your life, but that's okay. That's what magic and spells are for. You can have a heart-to-heart with your gods, you can have a heart-to-heart with your ancestors, you can have a heart-to-heart with the universe. And even if you are an atheist, even if you are a non-denominational practitioner, you can send out your energy to whatever it is that you want, whatever it is that you believe in, and have that honest discussion about what you want, what you need, and ask for it. That's the most important thing, right? In magic, when you can ask for something unabashedly and not feel judged in return. Now we come to the final part of this video, and if you're stuck around with me this long, thank you so much. And this part of the video, I'm just going to be giving you a short brief about what my channel is intending to do. Now, I am, like I said, a South Asian person, and I do practice magic and spells for my well-being, for the well-being of my loved ones, and for the well-being of the community and the ecology. What I am intending to do right now is basically I am studying religious resources and non-denominational resources side by side. So I have a list of religious texts, like I said, the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, the Bible, the Avesta, and so many other religious texts that I have with me that I'm studying right now to get a sense of world religions. At the same time, I'm studying a lot of books of magic, such as psychic development, elemental magic, glamour magic, and different kinds of and spirit working and so on. And so different kinds of modalities, spiritual modalities, I'm studying about them, I'm learning about them, and I'm developing my own brand of South Asian magic. So this channel is intending to help other South Asian folks, whether you're living in South Asia or you are an immigrant living in any other country, but you are of South Asian descent, and you want access to magical practices and spiritual practices and religious information that stem from your culture, from South Asian culture, from South Asian communities, then this channel, my channel, South Asian Mystic, is the best place for you. I'll be doing a series of videos over the next couple of months and hopefully the next few years that will cover a variety of spiritual and religious modalities, so that both denominational, i.e. religious people, and non-denominational, that is atheist viewers, can find something of value for themselves. So if you want to practice magic, if you want to cast spells, especially spells related to South Asian culture and rooted in South Asian culture, you will definitely find that content over here. Similarly, I will be studying a lot of religious and philosophical texts and bring the wisdom of various religions and various cultures out here for you, so that we can collectively understand what the universal truth is. And that's my objective, an interdenominational study through a non-denominational perspective. That is, studying various religions without intending to or wanting to support or push a specific ideology or belief or practice towards you. While I may give examples of Hindu rituals in many of my videos, that is only intended to give you as an example. That's because these are things that I've practiced or I've seen myself. But I will do my studies and I will bring you more examples from other communities and other cultures as well, so that even non-Hindu practitioners and atheist practitioners and other non-denominational practitioners will have something of excellent value to take home, especially if you are from a South Asian family. Do remember to subscribe to my channel and let me know in the comments below what you'd like to see, and let me know if this video was helpful for you. So, all right. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate that you took the time to stay through this video. This is a very long video, and I really appreciate that you stayed through with me for this entire experience. And I hope to see you more on this channel. Have a wonderful day. Blessed be. Namaste.